Because as we mentioned earlier in this program, the healing response is ignited by a shock. So the shock is the prompt for the shift. So we give little shocks, and the shocks arouse you. They create movement. An excessive shock puts you into unconsciousness or coma. It's too much. But that dose of shock is what creates a shift in your life, you see. So what happened with Erickson? The guy puts a gun in his chest, and he says it's 2:45. He gave that guy a shock. You see, it was unexpected. It was unexpected. So the paradox is the unexpected coming in when you habitually are looking for the same routinized answer to something. So the shock creates a stimulation of the vagus nerve to respond to it, which is the calming nerve of the body, and it calms everything down. And it sends impulses to the heart, which calms the heart rate. It sends impulses to the arteries, and so the pulse rate goes down, the heart rate goes down, the breathing becomes more regulated, and you are open to receiving new information and being able to change your habits through all of that, because you're now in a state of calm. And when you're in a state of calm, you're in a state available to what we call receive, to receive. And the word for receive in the Western spiritual tradition is called Kabbalah, to receive. The vagus nerve is in the medulla. It's mistakenly considered to be a nerve that goes from the medulla and makes its way, it's the longest nerve in the body, goes down through the neck, down through the spinal column in the cervical vertebrae, down to the area of the heart, and it innervates the heart, the lungs, and sends branches off to the eyes. We're going to get to it in the yes or no. Sends branches off to the eyes, the ears, and it's a regulating nerve that is perceived to be, in natural science, coming from above below. The researches that were done in the 1950s and put out by the National Institute of Health at that time about the research done on the vagus nerve shows quite the opposite, that it's really a nerve that originates from the heart and goes up to the medulla. The way to stimulate the vagus response, stop the emergency state. Breathing out does it. The long, slow exhalations that we do in the imagery that will be part of this program, when you breathe out long and slow, you're breathing out the noradrenaline. You're breathing out that hormone that's generated in the adrenal medulla, the most destructive chemical element in the body. And when you breathe out long, slow exhalations, not only are you breathing out carbon dioxide, you're breathing out norepinephrine. And when you breathe it out, you're stimulating vagal response. The quickest and easiest way to do it. There are other functions that do it. Imagery does it, meditation does it, Eastern meditation. Eastern meditation is a longish response. But the long, slow exhalation, right away, calms you. It's the quickest way we know to do it. And shifting your attention will also help it. So suddenly you shift your attention away from, and shift it away and go around, and shift your attention point to point to point. And you can sigh. You can sigh, you can yawn. There are different ways of doing that. Message is, I'm calming down, I'm relaxing. And make sure when you're diving into that pool that there's water. You want to make sure. So when you find yourself in false emergency states constantly, in which seem to be or designated to be by the circumstances that you fall into, look at yourself and ask yourself, what's been my misconception and misperception that has put me in this position to be in the context of the false emergency? There's always a mutual interaction. Can't be one side the circumstance, because then you're taking the position of being a victim. And that's really, you're in situations where there's a lot of agitation around you, with people on the platform working, waiting for a train that's late, or in a business situation, and they're all agitated and so on. So what you do is you stay the course and get rid of the word more or less or very. They're very agitated on the platform. No, they're agitated. You want to be just you in that situation. Just be who you are and stay in that non-emergency situation. That's all you do. So you've got to say, I'm sighing to calm down. And I can teach you a way to calm. That's all. They can take it or not as they see fit. And your belief is there are no repercussions to me because I'm acting in truth. I'm acting in truth. So I'm acting to keep myself in a dynamic balance. That's all that matters. Could care less. Their agitation is a dissipation of energy for them. It has nothing to do with you. Your sighing has nothing to do with them either. It's irrelevant. Has no meaning at all. Only for what you need to bring yourself into balance. That's all that matters. That's all you're after. There's something you can do that's, if you want to transcend that agitation in the business meeting, the other way you can do it, paradoxically, is to get agitated. In other words, increase the agitation. You show them, by reflection, how agitated you're getting. You exaggerate it. They look at you like, what are you doing here? And you're saying, I'm just reflecting you. And once they can objectify it and stand back, it begins to stop. So you have two possible ways to do it: to handle it for yourself by dissipating and getting rid of the noradrenaline, or exaggerating their responses. So you're showing them what they're doing, that they may not be aware of, since their response is reflexive and somewhat like an automaton. It's reflexive and automatic. And you are giving them a chance to look in a mirror, so to speak, to see what they're doing.